Good morning. I wanted to first say something about a strange phenomenon that is occurring in the United States. And there is some sort of a similarity and a reason. Morning. A reason why this is occurring. So, first of all, there's men and there's women, right? There have been men and there have been women. But no, now all of a sudden we have transgenders, whatever, or people who are non-binary, whatever. Well, okay, maybe one day all this will be behind us, because it's of course total madness. But that's not the issue that I was going to address. What I'm going to address is the fact that America is based on a two-party system. And yeah, that is, you have the left wing and the right wing. And it's interesting how people are dissatisfied with that system because they can't work it out. They can't they can't conform and they can't let it go. And therefore they they need to have a third party. Do you see how that works? So I wanna link this also to psychology, yeah. In human relationship, just in regular human relationship. Let's say, for instance, just a very normal relationship between a husband and a wife. Okay, I myself am married. I may not have children, but I do have a lovely wife. But there is, of course, between the husband and the wife, and also, anyone who has children, they will need to talk with each other, and they will need to agree with each other or disagree with each other, and their agreement is going to determine the happiness of this family, of that marriage, of that relationship. And their disagreement, that is that's going to create all kinds of problems. But in any case, at any given moment, anyone, also just, you don't have to have you don't have to be married or so to have that. You can just be people who know each other, friends or family members. At any given moment, some issue is playing. Are we doing this? Are we going to do that? Decisions are made, and there are questions to be answered, and the answer is yes or no. And or you could say right or wrong, that's another way of viewing it. You can have the right answer to the question, and then things work out, or things are solved, or things are addressed in a proper way. And if it is the wrong answer, things just drag on and just get worse and worse. And so, but the issue of yes and no is involved in human relationship. And of course, it is the most important issue, whether we agree or disagree. It is the most important issue, whether it is right or wrong. And it is the most important issue, whether we are men or women. And it is the most important issue in the United States, unlike any other country, because in other countries they have democracy. Yeah. And then they have this presumed representative government or whatever. Yeah, you have these groups which are all vying for dominance. And no, in the United States there is either the left or the right. But of course there's people that want to be undecided. They want to be independent or whatever. No, you're not independent. You're just a liar. You're just a fool. You're just an idiot. Yes, you're throwing your vote away. That's for once. That's for sure. But you're also a coward that you don't dare to choose. Yeah? You don't make a stand. You have no backbone. You don't belong anywhere. And you can't seem to decide whether it's a right or a wrong. And your inability to decide whether it's a man or a woman, your inability to even understand whether you agree or disagree, yeah, this is something, yeah, because there is agreeing and disagreeing with other people. But how about agreeing with yourself? How about disagreeing with yourself? Yeah? You can disagree with yourself, and there's moments where it is very, very needed for you to say no to yourself. I'm going here, okay? Thank you. Hi. There you go. Good morning. And if you cannot do that, then you have no self-control. Then you have no autonomy. If you are always determined by others, as most people are, you are just living out your conditioning history, and that's it. So, when it comes to how you decide for yourself, when it comes to how you are able to agree with yourself or disagree, I mean, there is of course something that determines that. Something that you have not paid attention to. You are having a conceptualization of what you consider to be your mind, your free mind. Yeah, you are free to think whatever you want, supposedly. Well, you keep on involuntarily fantasizing all sorts of things which are absolutely not true. And the bottom line of that fantasy is that you believe something, good morning, you believe something which is false. Because you believe that there's inner language. And so, as long as you continue to have that false belief, that you can have a conversation inside your head with yourself, yeah, that is, then it is impossible for you to agree or to disagree with yourself. But if you have what I have, yeah, if you have embodied language, then your language is overt. Then your language is a voluntary phenomenon. Then you say what you want to say, and you don't say, you're not going to say it if you don't want to say it. Why should you say it? Why would you say what you won't want to say? But you, I'm talking with you. You have disembodied language. You don't listen to yourself while you speak. For you, language is covert, is inner, yeah? Your identity, your belief in who you are is all inner stuff, inner language stuff, which doesn't exist, which is pure fantasy. And yet, the whole of Western psychology is based on this nonsense. Yeah. Can you imagine that? Yeah. You can. Because people are all, there's in the schizophrenia literature, there is a reference of what they call folie à deux. That means madness of two people. And that sort of refers to when you are with a person who is actively psychotic. Such a person is having psychosis. And such a person, you can be affected as a normal person or as a person who doesn't have psychosis. You can be affected by such a person, by being around such a person. And then you start to also experience, because maybe you empathize with that person, or maybe you like that person or whatever. You want to be with him or you want to help him. And then you start to also experience that same kind of psychosis. But this phenomenon can also happen on a much broader scale, and then they call it mass hysteria. Well, that's what happens, mass hysteria, every time. There's a revolution. Oh yeah, revolution, an overthrowing of the government. Oh yeah, we're going to do everything different. Oh yeah, we're going to kill everybody. We're going to demolish all the statues. We're going to demolish history. Yeah, we're going to rewrite history. Oh yeah, we're going to do everything different from now on. Because now we are in charge. We are in power. And now it's going to be according to our way. Yeah. But the issue of agreeing or disagreeing has never been properly addressed. The issue of yes or no has never been properly addressed. It's astonishing. Because how can anyone make any sense of what to agree with and what to disagree with if they don't even agree or disagree with themselves? Look, I can disagree with myself because I can recognize at some point that I'm just like everybody else, acting out my conditioning history. And it's not a sin, it's not a mortal sin. It's not it's not evil. It's not, how you say that? And I don't have to punish myself for it. But I can just observe, hear that what I'm saying, it doesn't reflect my clarity. It doesn't reflect my well-being. It doesn't reflect my intelligence. Yeah, I'm confused. I'm scattered. I can't seem to figure out what I want. In other words, there's no yes, there's no no. Yeah, there's no black or white. Oh yeah, and of course everybody keeps justifying these types of stupidities. Yeah, we keep justifying our positions of not saying yes or not saying no, because that is what people do. We endlessly hide our yeses and our nos in some sort of a vagueness, in some sort of a complexity that supposedly is more important than the yes and the no. Yeah? Bullshit. Total freaking bullshit. And how do I know that? Well, I know that because I know embodied language. And anyone who knows embodied language, they know that embodied language is better than disembodied language. Yeah, there's just no way around it. if you have embodied language, you're basically done with disembodied language. And yes, that is easier said than done. But saying it is doing it. So it is done by saying it. Yeah. And it is the only way in which it is done. By saying it. And we haven't done that. No. We haven't gotten to that. And unless we are beginning to have embodied language, there's no way we ever get to it. So, embodied language is the way in which I can say, okay, now I have embodied language. Yes, this is embodied language. And if I have disembodied language, I can say, okay, I can also say, yes, this is disembodied language. And I can say, no, I don't want that. Or no, I'm sick and tired of disembodied language. Yeah. So, in the distinction between disembodied language and embodied language, my no and my yes become clear. Now, has anybody ever said that? I haven't heard anybody say this. And of course, relating that back again to politics here in the United States, yeah, my yes is in favor of right-wing politics, because it is only right-wing politics which is in favor of individual freedom and the Constitution, which guarantees that individual freedom. And yeah, we are not going to hide the reality as right-wing people. I'm not saying that everybody is having embodied language, but people are on the right in favor of that way of government, yeah, which we have here in the United States, which is of course the government of checks and balances, yeah, the government of the executive branch, the legislative branch, and the what's the third one? Judicial branch. And we're not going to do lawfare. We're not going to politicize the law, yeah, and do all kind of weird shit with activist judges. That stuff has to end, yeah. There's the law, and the law needs to be implemented. So there is legals and there's illegals, yeah. And no, we are not going to call them immigrants when they're here illegally, yeah. Yeah. And so, yeah, and also, no, we're not going to call it peaceful protests. Why would you call it peaceful protests if people are demolishing half the town? Why would you call it peaceful protest if people are throwing rocks at the police? I mean, what is this? And if people are screaming at the top of their lungs through megaphones, intimidating each other, beating each other up, it is horrific. It is absolutely horrific what a chaos is being created. And so, here is a message I have for people on the left who seem to be against so much that is really American. what are you actually for? You're not for anything. You are not for anything because you're not against anything. And you're not against anything because you want to use everything you can do with language as a means to serve your end. But since I have embodied language, I can recognize that. I can recognize all this manipulation. I can recognize all this endless distortion, this deliberate lying, this obfuscation, this continuous attacking, keeping everybody distracted with all these issues which are totally meaningless. What are you actually for? What are you for? What are you trying? You are just wanting, I know you are for being in power, you want to be in power, but what are you for when you are in power? You are blinded by this, this drive for power. And of course there's all these reasons, psychological reasons why people are that way. Because you're frustrated. You're very frustrated. You're very upset. And it's not about Trump. It's not about the right-wing people. No, it's about your life that isn't working. That's why you are so upset. So, and if you wanted to be happy, you would have to say no to that. And you would have to say, yes, I am going to, I'm just going to chill out. I'm going to calm down. I'm going to reassess what's going on with myself. How did I get so obsessed with all of this? Because people are just literally obsessed. They're fanatic, and they are praising murderers because supposedly these murderers, they have done the right thing. But no, you cannot praise murderers who did the right thing, because you're just justifying horrific acts. Good morning. Horrific acts which should be prevented. You should say no to these horrific acts. You should say no to all this discrimination. You are the one who says, oh, no fascism, no discrimination. But how is it possible? How is it possible that it is the left who is okay with all this anti-Semitism? The left-wing media doesn't even mention it. It's horrific how the left-wing media, not only in the United States, but in European countries, is completely backing out on Israel. Israel is a country. They are not going to give up their country in favor of a bunch of backward thugs who are oppressing their people in Gaza. No, there is no hunger in Gaza. The hunger in Gaza is created by Hamas. And yes, they are starving their own people. They are martyring their own people. That's what they do. That's what they've been saying, and that's what they are doing. So don't blame the West on doing this. They are doing that. And they need to also get with reality that their religion does not permit them or does not justify the things that they are doing. And no, it is not going to happen. As far as I know. Morning. I believe that the Jewish people, they are not gonna let anyone take over Israel. That's just not gonna happen. And the free world, because Israel is part of the free world, yeah, America, the free world, although in Europe and also in America, there are forces who are against, yeah, the continuation of individual freedom. There are also many people who are in favor of individual freedom, and these people, they have voted for Donald Trump, okay? And I also have voted for Donald Trump, yeah, because I'm in favor of individual freedom, and I'm in favor of the free world. And I say yes to certain religions, and I say no to other religions. Absolutely. I say no to Islam. Yeah? Actually, I say no to every religion, but I see more of a danger in Islam than in Judaism or in Christianity. Because it all is very clear. Morning. It is very clear that the Judeo-Christian combination that has given rise to the free Western world. And there's no denying about that. I don't believe in anything. And yet I can be totally at ease saying that these religions, they are, yeah, the philosophical foundation on which my individual freedom is based. Not in the Muslim religion, also not in the Hindu religion, also not in the, yeah, morning. Also not in the Buddhist religion. No. And also not in Native American spirituality. Absolutely not. Yeah. We have yet to be able to say yes to, yeah, what's right and what's wrong within the cultural confounds, yeah, that we have. And yeah, now I'm beginning to lose myself because I don't even know what the fuck I'm talking about anymore. Yeah. And it's hard, yeah, to keep some sort of a connection with yourself when you're talking about these cultural issues, yeah. But the bottom line is, I say yes to certain things and I say no to other things. Yeah? The bottom line is, I'm able with my embodied language to say, well, okay, Native American spirituality has not tried to occupy the world or try to, yeah, you know, political Islam. Political Islam has nothing, is incomparable to let's say Native American spirituality, okay? And I can see the difference, okay? So, and then Buddhism, of course, yeah. Oh well, of course, I can also see that Buddhism has had its fight, and Buddhism, there have been. And the Hindus are fighting with the Muslims also, fanatics, Hindus. There's all that. There's all there. I mean, yeah. But has Hinduism Yeah, maybe in India, Hinduism has been organized in a bunch of fanatics. And in the past, of course, there have been all these clashes. But at this point in time in the world, is Hinduism a force, is Hinduism a... Wow. I was just looking at a lamppost that was completely run over by a car. They have these beautiful lampposts here, but the lamppost is completely destroyed. In any case, that is perhaps a good reminder that so much has been destroyed, so much. Oh my goodness, we just keep on destroying with all our divisiveness, yeah, with all our inability to be on the same page and to actually agree on what we say yes to and what we say no to. It's very hard as groups to agree on anything. And that problem occurs because we do not have what I call embodied language. Yeah. If we would have that, yeah, we would agree. You cannot believe me, right? That we would agree if we would have embodied language, yes? But we would. So, I don't know if you've been able to continue listening to this end of this video, but if you have been brave enough to hear me out, you can't help but notice a shift. Yeah? You can't help but notice what I notice. Because I'm expressing it very clearly. I say yes to this expression. I know what it is. And you don't. And the only way for you to know it, on your left, thank you.
So,
that is something for you to discover. And you have your yes to your embodied language. You have your no to your disembodied language. And that is what I'm expressing on this video. And your yes to your embodied language and your no to your disembodied language, that's going to create a new era for mankind. Yeah. Regardless of what country we are, regardless of what religion, regardless of what politics, because it really transcends all of that. But okay, for now, we have to continue within the confounds of our religion, within the confounds of our culture and our politics. But once you get to your yes to your embodied language, once you get to your no about your disembodied language, you will see what I'm talking about. Even though perhaps before you didn't. Yes and no are important. And we cannot keep dancing around the the lack of clarity that exists because of our disembodied language. Yeah. So, embodied language is going to give us clarity. And even though I was having my moment of starting to get trapped into this clusterfuck of disembodied language. I've said no to it. All right. Now sit here with me for a little bit. Yeah. I'm now here on this beautiful place. This is what it's all about. Yeah, I have talked, but this is where I've reached. This is what I've accomplished. This is what I've created with my talking. What you experience now. And talking can create. Yeah? And either you create this or you don't. I create this.